You know what's so goddamn annoying about OBS? Whenever you would restart your computer, it would immediately switch like your audio input from the one that you have it set as to obviously to like the to default. The issue with default is that that's not my microphone, so that's just so goddamn annoying. That's a little rant I have there. And I don't even notice it until like halfway through the review, so I have to stop recording, get back to recording, and oh my god, that is just so annoying. Anyways, hello everyone, my name is Zeotrex, and today we are doing a review of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, telling the story of the Ninja Turtles going on just hanging out outside, wanting them to be accepted by the outside world, and in doing so, they track down a supervillain known as Superfly. That's the best way I could describe it without giving spoilers. You know how this stuff goes. I've been a major TMNT fan for a good chunk of my life. I've been a fan of I'm actually trying to remember how I grew up with the series. I grew up with the 2012 series, watching that on Nickelodeon when it came out. I watched the 1990 movie, but I don't remember that much of it. The 2007 movie I remember liking and watching. And I saw the 2014 movie in theaters. I also watched that weird live action show they had back then, Next Mutation, which was a weird thing which was a weird show. So I'm glad this movie does justice as a Ninja Turtle fan and a fan of the series. So let's get into it. Let's talk about that animation. The animation is spectacular. It's taking inspiration from Spider-Verse, and I'm glad this is where the future of animation is going, with stuff like Puss in Boots and Arcane, Mitchell's and the Machines, and I don't know the name of that one, actually. The art style is great. It's like a kid drew it. That sort of New York sketchy griminess I love. You know what I would love to see? A Batman movie with this kind of animation style. Come on, I would love to see a Batman movie with that style. And this movie and another thing that I liked about this movie was that it perfectly captures what it's like being a teen. And it actually made me realize, if you go back and watch something like the 2014 movie, I think the biggest issue is that with those, it feels like adults trying to be teens, That's kind of where this one succeeds, where it feels like they are naturally teenagers, like 13, 15, 14, 15-year-olds. And obviously, as a teen myself, I know that this may not be like the most accurate representation of teens. They feel more like preteens now just becoming teens, because teenagers nowadays vape and they have TikTok and I do all that stuff. But here, it's really cute. I really like it. And the cast of kids, super charming. Nicholas Canto, who played Gumball at some point, I don't know when. Also, does anyone know if he was the one that flipped his chair over King K. Rool in Smash? I forgot which Gumball this was. But I definitely like how I like the kids being them. Obviously, they are unknowns except for Gumball, and it just elevates the Ninja Turtles dynamic more. In the references that they make, I know some people might roll their eyes and be like, "Oh, too many pop culture references." But I mean, if you look back at the older films, they make references to what was popular at the time, and they use modern lingo like Riz. They say Riz in the movie. That was amazing, because we all use Riz, and they use sus, and again, some could roll their eyes, but it's super cool to see teens depicted like this. I enjoyed it, and the humor is, while there's some kiddie stuff here and there, it's enjoyable, nice, and heartwarming. And this movie just left me with a giant smile on my face all the way through. These characters are so enjoyable to watch. I love all of these characters, and the arcs that these guys get are nice. Leonardo is he tries to be a leader, but he's kind of picked on for how serious he is in all of this. But and so he's like, well, what can I do to be a leader? He wants to please Splinter so badly, and I'll get to Splinter in a minute. I like what they did with him. He tries to please Splinter so badly, but he also doesn't want to disappoint his brothers, and I like what they did with Leo in this film. And I've noticed that these characters don't really fall into the stereotypical Ninja Turtle types. I mean, Leo's the leader, Raph's a bit of a hothead, but Mikey kind of blends in with the rest of the group. He doesn't stand out as the party guy, where he has a skateboard and, you know, he's eating pizza and he's like, cowabunga. They didn't say cowabunga in this movie. Oh my god, I just realized they never said cowabunga in the movie. This movie's bad. I'm kidding. But they say stuff like, you know, Mikey kind of blends in, and Donnie has changed a lot. Just a slight nitpick. We all know Donnie to be the, like, nerdy guy, you know, wrenches, screwdrivers. He's a bit of a tech head. Here, he's changed more to be an anime nerd, which I don't mind, but I wish we got, like, a scene of him hacking into a computer or him building, like, a little trinket or whatever. I wish there was more of his tech sideness and all that. And also, Donnie sounds a lot younger than the others. It feels like he's now just hitting puberty, but I didn't mind that. It's cute. I think it's cute. Let's see. I don't mind these changes. I don't mind these changes. It's just something to point out. The villains in this movie were also great. Superfly as a villain, I really like Superfly. Someone who's kick back, chill, but he takes things a bit too far. His motive is understandable, but it's like you're taking it a bit too far. And he's kind of a sympathetic villain, you know, which I didn't mind. And yeah. Splinter, his arc also kind of relates to Splinter, who doesn't like humans because, you know, he was just a rat, and there's the origin, which I might get into spoilers. I don't know. Splinter's arc was really great, and I like how here he feels much more fatherly. Before, Splinter has always felt like the master, and whenever, like, they would say, Dad, it'd be like this big emotional moment. In this movie, he's their dad. He is actually their father, and they call him Dad, and they call him that, and I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed that. And there's this scene where he is waiting for them to come back, and that kind of broke my heart. I think that was just sad. Splinter, let's talk about the cast real quick. I like who we got in this movie. Ice Cube was great as Superfly. Paul Rudd as Mondo Gecko, amazing. I actually didn't even like notice that was Paul Rudd. I knew it was Paul Rudd. Maya Rudolph, she was pretty sinister as the Utron, I think, who is an entire another thing. I'll talk about that in spoilers. You know, Seth Rogen and John Cena as Bebop and Rocksteady. Honestly, that's like the perfect casting. Seth Rogen as Bebop. And spoiler alert, he doesn't do his laugh. He doesn't do the infamous Seth Rogen laugh, which I actually surprised me. Maybe they were like, okay, don't. And Post Malone was pretty good. Giancarlo Esposito, I'll get to him in a minute, okay? April O'Neil in this movie, I think she's a great character. There's a lot of controversy for literally the stupidest reason, and I'm gonna address this real quick. April's design has never been consistent. She has literally only worn that yellow jumpsuit in the original 80s suit. Like, yeah, she wears yellow, she has red hair, but that changes. You know, she's always had a different design going on from each show, each iteration. She had a yellow rain jacket. She had a yellow rain jacket in the 90s movie. She had a yellow jacket. She wasn't even a redhead in the 2014 movie. And what did April look like in the 2007 movie? April O'Neil, 2007. Let's see. And she wore a samurai outfit in the 2007 movie. She's lit. And also, I know a lot of people are going to say that this is woke. You know, April O'Neil originally is mixed. She was based off of Eastman's wife, and while she's not fully, like, black, she is mixed a bit. And also Rise of the TMNT, which I find it so funny that people are now, like, those kind of people are now starting to complain about April O'Neil in this movie compared to Rise, where it's like, you know, Rise was the first show to actually do a full-on black April O'Neil, right? So where were you then? I find it so funny. And also, April is not a character that you could just get mad about that happening to. Either way, her arc in this movie was hilarious. I wanted to laugh during her origin scene, and this is a spoiler, but kind of a necessary one. This movie has puke in it, so if you have emetophobia, I think that's how it's pronounced, be careful, okay? Proceed with caution. And it was at this moment I realized, why did the font of my script get so much bigger? April O'Neil in this movie was great. I liked her as a character, and I didn't mind the absence of Casey Jones, who is a character who actually probably wouldn't have fit into the story. Yeah. And I also like how they incorporated the Ninja Turtle crush. You know, in 2012 it was Donnie, in 2014 it was Mikey. I think I think 2012 was actually the first one to do that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Raph has had a crush on April at one point, right? But Leo has the crush on April now, which I thought was like, oh, okay, cool. We're doing the Ninja Turtle crush thingy. Back to the villains. I like Leatherhead and Wingnut. Seeing Leatherhead show up was pretty cool, but someone did say having all these villains show up and then take like the direction that they did was a bit disappointing, because of like, you know, these villains, we've been waiting to see them for a bit, and having them take that direction, I understand that. A lot of the Ninja Turtle movies have been pretty absent of the villains. I mean, in TMNT 2 Secret of the Ooze, we didn't even get Bebop and Rocksteady. Instead, we got Razar and I forgot the turtle's name. We don't see a lot of these mutants. A lot of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies are kind of focused on like realistic villains. You know what I'm saying? Like Shredder or Samurais or Demon Oni thingies from whatever. Or like, for example, the Michael Bay movies. Like, yeah, we had Krang and Bebop Rocksteady there, but like, imagine how cool it would be to see Leatherhead or Wingnut or Mondo Gecko, all of those villains in in a movie, and we finally get them and they take a certain direction with them. I understand that complaint, and I kind of resonate with it, but I didn't mind what they did with the characters, and I was actually a bit surprised with what they did at the end. I would have, if they had done it the other way and they stayed evil, I wouldn't have minded that, honestly. My biggest flaw with this movie is Baxter Stockman. Baxter Stockman, as you know, is probably one of the most major villains in TMNT history. He is kind of Shredder's right-hand man. He creates the ooze. He's all of this. And he shows up at the beginning and then buzzes off. You could kind of feel that because he's not been in any trailers and he hasn't had any promotional stuff outside of like a poster or whatnot. But man, what they did with Baxter Stockman was a waste, especially when you have Giancarlo Esposito. I'm trying to roll the R for his name now. You got Gus Fring, Moff Gideon, Faraday, Stan Edgar. I mean, come on. Him as Baxter Stockman is a fantastic choice. But maybe, you know, he's played too many serious boss characters, crossing his arms behind his back and be like, you are a failure. You have something I want. It just, he felt wasted. That's really what I said. Maybe I think they have the door for him open later, and I actually was expecting them to do a twist in this movie, but either way, I hope he returns in the future, and they do. Ninja Turtle Mutant Mayhem is a fun, lighthearted, enjoyable movie to me that I personally had a great time with. I think this is one of the best TMNT movies because it does a lot right with the Ninja Turtles. And you know what? I'm going to give it an A. Amazon House Show, Total Power. All right, let's talk about these post-credits, okay? We got to talk about some stuff. So going off of the ending where we see the Turtles go to high school is something I actually did not expect them to do. turtles are now out of the shadows and are gonna live amongst society. That's a pretty cool thing. I hope they do a lot with that. I can't. Back to what I was saying. I didn't expect them to go towards the choice of putting the Ninja Turtles out in society and having to live among humans and going to high school. And we see that post-credit scene kind of focus on where these guys are going. We see Donatello is, hanging out with the nerds. Raph might join some sports team. Mikey's having a party time. He's going to improv. I think what they did was pretty awesome. And I think Leo will try to get with April at one point. But, okay, so we see Cynthia Utron. Look at them. It's like, okay, we can find these Ninja Turtles easy. How do we get them? Oh, we have an option. One thing I want to mention, there's a fly in a jar there, and apparently that's Superfly. But I feel like that's going to hint to what's going to happen to Baxter Stockman in the second film. Just saying that. So then she's like, all right, bring on the shredder. Woo! So my friend went to go to the bathroom during this part, and then when he came back, he literally came back right when Shredder showed up. We don't see his design, but we see like his shadow, and it's pretty awesome. Shredder is one of the most badass villains in media, in my opinion. And I'm so excited to see him in the second film. I mean, his design in this, that shadow flash was pretty badass. I'm so excited to see Shredder. So, yeah, that's it. I already talked about Ninja Turtles, but let's talk about some other stuff. So, sorry that this review is a bit late. I've just been busy ever since the movie came out. And I wrote the script, was going to film it yesterday, but I was just out of it yesterday. But yeah, so next review could actually possibly be either Blue Beetle or One Piece. Guess who's a fan of it now? Haha. And also the FNAF Ruin video. That the series, I don't know if I'm gonna do it anymore. I've thought about it and I've tried it, but if you see it, you see it. If you don't, you don't. Y'all know I did not have a good time with Security Breach, and y'all know I did not have a good time with Security Breach as a series. The game was just too buggy, and it's still a bit... I had to restart my computer, literally, because the game froze on me while recording, and I don't know if I want to deal with, 6 parts of that, and you hear me raging. I don't really know if I want to do that. I might live stream it, I might not. I have a Sea of Thieves video coming up. I just have to add the music in and then I'll upload it. But either way, until next time, cowabunga, dudes.